alright, Jeju Simbigi, Japaneshashi, Yamlinchia, Tida, and Mani, Yandua, Rangel, Tigi, and Japaneshashi, Yamlincheva, Niga, Japanesha, Yamlincheva, Chibari, Yinaya, the Jeju Simbigi, Japaneshati, and Yandua, Rangegi, Japanesha, Yamlincheva, Tile, Chapar to Papa, Choto Yuba race, Yaris, rather Choto Yuba race. The Imbi Gimzero, Carriers, and the Gimze, Juro the Sonje, and the Jusombe Nane, that jig, and to get that dinner, the Shim, Jogi Bashi Sare.
Good afternoon. So this morning, we're concluding with the outlines, coming to the final one, where we're looking at the differences in terms of the practices of the four close placements of mindfulness between, on the one hand, hearers and solitary realizers of the Tibetan or Hinayana tradition, as well, and then on the other hand, as bodhisattvas, those of the Mahayana tradition. And as we've seen throughout, the trainings are very similar. The training in the four close placements of mindfulness are very similar, but the differences that are there do mean that the training of a bodhisattva is significantly more profound. And we're looking at the 14 reasons that are presented here for that, and this morning we looked at the first 4 of those.
Rangshen Tamji Lu Sola Mipa, Sidi, Tangachele, Jeju Simbi, Jamanyashati, and the Kapat Papa, the Karesene, Nyandu Namgir, and the Jamanyasha Community. Lu Jambanyam Nyajakum de Rangu Zo Rangulu Migores, and then Toala in there, Zo Rangi Toala Migores. Tisan Jejusemanamgi, and Jamanyasha Community, and Rangulu, Shengulu, Niga, Rangulu, and so Rangulu Toa, the Shenyu Toa, Chasan Migores. Di Chaneda, Ranshin Nigi Lula Mipa Inza. 做上是你给绿了米的公布有把人家那地开发的跑跑的也是去，那我就做那地感觉啊这个这样啊那公庙的搞不啦，做上是你给绿了米把这，这了米的公庙的这样，等妈妈米把上大家公过了吧，等那啥呢开发的跑跑的也是去，上是你给绿说了米把是这个的，上是你给绿了米呢。 Coming
then to the 5th difference on page 7. You observe the body, feelings, the mind and phenomena of yourself and others. When practitioners of the Hero and Solitary Realizer lineage observe the 4 objects, namely body, feelings, mind, and phenomena. They do so in relation to themselves. When bodhisattvas engage in the meditation on those same observed objects, they do so in relation to both themselves and others. And moreover, as we saw previously in the uncommon way to meditate, we see that bodhisattvas, in addition, meditate on non-observable signs of phenomena.
Nyamlenche, and Rangulu mine Nyamlenche, and Jelata, Gyältsen Samda Shengi Mise Rangshen. That's all Shen Simja, Tamjaduna Dana Sambainza, Jamni Jobaza, Shengi Lula Mine, Shenlia, Duma Dinu, Dina Trapus and Chikeni, Jambada Nije, Shukchembu Yobainza, and so the Shengi Lula Mise, Rashinina, so Shengi Lula Mise, they are the member sometimes dictator. And Ranchi Sini Tana Kumba Chigorwa. The Nadu de Gaina, so then Rangulu Miche, so Rani Tarba Toya Dunala, 제가 랑이 유둥아 이풍보들 자고 선비게 삼당에 조 랑게 류라 삼당 거래 이나 까브레 양 생기 류라 삼당 용구로 와다 까브레라 생기 어다 생기 야 건조이네 생기 둥아 마통하다 유네 말와 생기 둥아 까브레 용구데 이나 조 랑게 류라 미네 공고라 세야지 가르선 조 랑이 둥아 타바도 와다 랑이 타바도 와도 지고 디엔자 조 랑게 류라 미 바라세 디시 거래 자주세만함기 조 셴 둥을 자와 되반자 지난 셴 유둥을 세나즈메 셴 유둥의 풍보되다 자와 조 셴 둥을 자와 되반자 랑다 셴이 셴 조 되반자 다 셴 라셴 이유를 미바사 디스고래 디네자 자주세만 남기디 고미야디 캬바도 파고 김세 캬바 직디시고르와.
That being said, it's not that hearers in solitude realizers do not ever have as their observed object the body, feelings, mind phenomena that aren't in relation to themselves. But hearers in solitude realizers, due to having as their burning objective, their strong desire, the attainment of their own individual liberation, they will focus on their own body, seeing how it is in the nature of suffering, in the nature of suffering and so forth. So their primary objective is overwhelmingly on their own condition. So again, this doesn't mean they do not ever reflect on the situation of others. They almost certainly will on occasion. But overwhelmingly, their attention is on their own situation. Bodhisattvas, due to a very different motivation, a motivation that is infused with love and compassion, which ensures that their bodhicitta ensures they are striving for enlightenment for the sake of others, they therefore, when they have engage in the meditation on the same observed objects, they will start by reflecting on their own situation, for example, observing their own body, their own feelings, and so forth, and then readily expand it to all others. And of the two, their primary focus is on the situation of others because of their motivation being concerned primarily with the welfare of others. Their whole purpose of spiritual development is for the welfare of others. Whereas for the hearers and solitude realizers, their primary objective for spiritual development is their own liberation. Hence, there's this different emphasis in the practice between bodhisattvas and hearers and solitary realizers, and therefore the practice of bodhisattvas is superior. The sixth, you mentally engage the body, feelings, mind, and phenomena as being empty of true existence. So here, as we've heard several times before, bodhisattvas, when they meditate, they do so with the four general characteristics, but in addition, they meditate on the emptiness of inherent existence, and moreover, that is their primary object of meditation, coming to realize the emptiness of inherent existence.
Janju semba de gige ta komya di sachi yu lu khona dewi chido koni chido kumgo mare jire jeza denegi ndene sachi yu lu da dene same yu lu koni same yu lu toba sedu janju semba namgi ta korong yu gige sachi yu lu da same yu lu sachi yu lu da jawa koni chido kumgo mares 가르스네 미네베냐데 토비치도 공고레스 다 돈다라 가르시 오르스네 janju sempa teki ki that's Jen you don't ya, and the Casore, Shanley Pemper to be a chedu, the lay Casore, Corby near the Gyälwa, Jigger, Lada, me, Lu, Gyälwa, and Delia, and Jigger, Shenji to Tubala, Betu catching on the Guyobanza, Lu Konagi, Travis to Kumgo Marriage, Chow. Chawala, Dele Lingime Sigurwa, Change somebody Gigi, Gangun, Shengi, same thing you do Jebala, and the Jigger. Lei Lada Lei Uba Jajan Losopa Gyälwa Lu Lien, and Janle Pandora Mi Gyälwa Lien, no Corby near Dunjo Gyälwa Lien, but the nigger near Hundo Gyälwa Lien Jen, and she Jen, and Denan Digi number 20 Lu Lien Jen, and the Delia Pember to Dugorwa, the Nenza, Sachi Lu Hone Bambi Chidu Chigo Mares, Niana Digi, Sachi Lu Kona, Javichi Kumgo Regero. Gyälwa singme penengar lumbedel rugme labna lumbedel jawa debalane lumbedel rugme la goroba chisa lumbedel rugme labna jenyu sempa pen lu pen nyande de pen lumba kale hawo nyora so jik yoban odanga del de rugme sa je samdang goroba jenyu sempa de disu ne de semjan ya robo che de nga del rugin sam goroba ma de del rugme sam go marwa chisa korwe ne Corby near la Mangboy, Corby near Hey Umboy, Hada, Mida, Dundroda, the Nigo Corby near la Gyälwa, and you send Banam Gyälwa to go. Taking by Leo to Lenny on Gyälwa to go, Mother, Rangi, something to eat something to Gyälwa to go. Watch as a Changes and Banam Gim, Niana de Gigarson, Corby near the Tau to tell ya that Yaja Gyälwa, Malemba Chigu Sempe, some Tangorwa. Janju Samanam did some tango, Marcovi near Delpa Chinje, Shanley, a pamper to go, the DJ to Tagajele, Sachi Lu, the Gasore, some shindo, Corvi nearly a Gyälwa Lien, Shanlia, and pamper to be a good body, Janju Samanam didn't go. Jazainza, Sachi Lu, Java Kuni Chido, and Congo Marejere. Nyendo de Sachi Lu. Kona Saju de Ludan Javichi to Kumhore, Jensemanum di Mares. And Saju Ludling Melamna, di Luigi Lenge, Sham, Penning Mi Gyälwa Melana, that me Luding a Lengi Melamna, the middle Lule Lenge, middle Robert Regmar, which is the Jensemanum di Convashigo Marege.
Then the seventh difference, freed from a contaminated body, you will attain one that is uncontaminated. So on the surface, this may seem a little surprising because we know that the heroes in solitary realizers are striving for their individual liberation, and when they achieve that, they become an arhat or foe destroyer, and they achieve an uncontaminated body. So the heroes in solitary realizers attain an uncontaminated body. So what's the difference then with the bodhisattva? Well, as we heard earlier, bodhisattvas are not striving to abandon their contaminated body. They are also not striving to retain their contaminated body. Their focus is on achieving non-abiding nirvana. So they're striving to achieve non-abiding nirvana or Buddhahood, and as a byproduct of their spiritual development, they will attain uncontaminated aggregates, uncontaminated body. So there, whilst both types of practitioners achieve an uncontaminated body, it is an objective of the hero and solitary realizer because it comes with the attainment of becoming an arhat. Whereas a bodhisattva, this isn't their objective, but they achieve it as a side product. Moreover, their achieving of an uncontaminated body is of extreme benefit for the bodhisattva in fulfilling his heartfelt wish to be of benefit to others. In that, the bodhisattva does not make aspirations to not be born in samsara. The bodhisattva wants to continue to be born in samsara because it's samsara where suffering beings are to be found. It's in the realms of samsara, whether amongst the gods or humans or animals, where beings who need guidance are to be found, where beings who require the guidance of bodhisattvas are to be found. Therefore, a bodhisattva doesn't create the obstacle by desiring individual liberation and therefore to no longer take rebirth in the realms of samsara. They want to be born in the realms of samsara. However, when they achieve their uncontaminated body, each and every rebirth that follows within the realms of samsara is not due to contaminated karma. Rather, it's due to the power of their prayer. So, bodhisattvas with uncontaminated bodies intentionally take rebirth amongst samsaric beings, not like we do, due to the power of karma and afflictions.
dunga tada da bangba hame nyadi topsone dene kanga junime dene nyamba shaje lele shido samgorwa nyamsha che dene nyamsha dewane kidina di tugor ses sungorwa na janju sema namgi karsen ta jamanya cha komche shen yu dön ju bi chido simjing yu dön ju bi chido gomgorwa che shen dün yu zo shen dün yu chido gomgorwa shen dün chido gowan shen yu dunga se dan de yu ju ya ya koala kawa Gyälwa soso kanga kaze no soso rangdön lue na ji sinyu dunga chi yin se de da koala Gyälwa lemba de baya ge zo chi go ma les kasan da shen yu dön da la shen le pemba do chi dunga nyawa ke na ji do dun do le ke na ji do khon zo chen le pemba ju tu ye na kanga kan ne na mi kanga de kanga de ya an dong le chi tu gu yin sim be ge da de ne ge zhen ju sim shu xi wu jie xie an ne jamanya xie gong bu ye ba yin sa an ne ji zang 사지 풍부 내가 권위치도 공고 말했어야 되지로 디네 인사다 디니기 닝도 비여바데 가르스네 현sem제도 동하나 자나 삼비게 삼도 닝제 잠니제 원기 지다 현sem제 동안 잠니제 원기 니 디여바인자 디네 현이 된다려 류카네실레 제갈 가네스 판버 줍투나 줍이 있으면 동안 세야라 된 줍이 있으면 아 공부시바 연자 디네 캬바도 봐봐래 사실 디시오르다
Here in Solitude realizes that practitioners of the Tibetan lineage, they desire the attainment of an uncontaminated body because an uncontaminated body is achieved with the attainment of nirvana without remainder. And with that attainment, when they become an arhat, that is when they can abide in peace. And that is their goal of individual liberation. And with that objective in mind, Heroes in Solitude realizes engage in the practice of the four close placements of mindfulness. Bodhisattvas, on the other hand, they are meditating on the four close placements of mindfulness solely for the welfare of others. Their whole purpose of spiritual development is to be of ever more benefit to others. So therefore there's no thought about there's no thought of their own individual liberation. There's no thought even of their own attainment of uncontaminated bodies. In fact, they are determined to continue to take rebirth amongst suffering samsaric beings. And they make aspirational prayers that wherever they can be of benefit to beings, may they be born there, so as they can guide beings to the attainment of their own individual liberations. Whether it's even in hell, or amongst animal beings, or amongst humans, wherever they can be of benefit, that is where they want to be born. And a motivation such as this comes about through the great strength of their love and their compassion. And due to the strength of their love and compassion, they've given rise to an unsurpassable strength of mind and inner resolve. And it's this that guides them and ensures that they continue to take rebirth amongst ordinary sentient beings who remain bound in samsara in order to benefit them.
Gyälwa Lhei, Gyälwa Lemba Mi, Gyälwa Lemba Dundro, Gyälwa Lemba Da Mara Yungore, and Chisa Gabrielia, and Jensen Big Nam Juba, Ben Mikyo Shu, Longcam Pango, Yoro Shu, Chinetine, Longa Pigores. The Garden Pigores and the Nigi Milia Jimbetayaki, the Nigi Long do that, the Pango Shisha, some because the Ninja, some Jimbeta Tayaki Dondala. The immediately some of the Niji course Jimbet the Nigi Jimbal dancer Udida, Jensen Bachado. Chizan the Niji Jimbata, the Jensen Bachado, Delia and Coronal, Sonum Chimbusagores. Chizan Jensen Bati in Jimbata Biki, Gyälwa, the Moa, the Nijin Sonum Chimbusai. The Nigi Dondala, and Jensen begin Juba, and then on the Mikyo, Shu, and the Longhane, the near to number 20, and the Pigores. Chizan the near Zadan Jugi, the Diwadi Dineshi, Longhan, Union Ruadi. In other ones, Lumba Shanda, Jakab Shanda, Diwadina, Longan Mongo, or Dinish Longa, the other Bangos and Chikdele, and Majevache, and the no Sodam Da, she's now and the Longan Juba number 10 and somebody now the Tibet Sayungres. She's now so sugi, Gang to the Chik Jay, Jena Chunju, Mother Jena, Jevaina, the Nigita, Jesse Longan Jajusim number 10 Pesha by Pevachi, de la Kodu Kesovina, so Sonam Chimbosagores. The names are the Nig Longan. So Gang to the jail, the jail was Mukisita, Jetu Mena, Kolia, Shesha Taya, and Tonjon Taya, Dichio Mareset. That is that and Chicken Yamlempa, that Labjaro, Chitangore.
Bodhisattvas are remarkable in that they will do whatever it takes to benefit others. In particular, to help others acquire the causes that will lead to happiness and eliminate the causes that would otherwise lead to suffering. And they will take as many rebirths as is necessary amongst humans or gods or animals in order to benefit suffering beings. And they'll take those rebirths in a wide variety of ways, using skillful means to benefit others. For example, they will take rebirth amongst humans in a form of a being that's impoverished, and they will place themselves amongst beings who have more than they do, in order to be an object of offering, so that they can be before beings who have some food to offer or a small amount of money to offer. The Bodhisattva does this so as to help ordinary beings create virtue, to create merit, and to create connection with them. So in this and many other remarkable ways, Bodhisattvas take rebirth in order to benefit others. And therefore, one is encouraged to always relate to beings with respect and not to talk down to them or to criticize them, because the activities of Bodhisattvas are so remarkable and so vast that Bodhisattvas may well appear in unexpected ways in order to benefit beings that they otherwise could not.
I Chinduk Nyamlen da Tumba, Sidi, that Janjusemba Namgi, Damanyasha Komedu, Chinduk Jinso Passion to Nyamlen da Tumba, Nyamlen and Gores, then Yana de Gide, and the Neki Mares, or rather Chinduk Nyamlet, Chinduk Nyamsulemba, the Tumba City.
The eighth is quite clear. They are concordant with the practices of the six perfections.
Za Janjusemba Namgi, Damanya Comiodu, Lula Mina, Lu Damanya Comiodu, and a Luide, Luidan, Chazan, and Lu Longe, Soso Luidan, Soso Longe, Caricina, Chazan, the Ningbo Meba, call and Chike. Now on Hashin, Rangamanian to Banyo Matema Maduba, the Ningbo Meba, the Niki, that the Niki chike nyingpo meba da denige jeso ya sosuge da gidi na so dakbo japje di chona ane phando meba re chesa di za di gang yo ba di ko takpa timbu yo ma mi da ba re ke ji ji ru go chesa da de ye di kapla rangi lu na lonjo kare yine shen le ya ye di sosu le ye di kapla so shen le phambi gi du bya gi to na la ya shen yu dunga se ya da phambi ga sa 강아 세야다 디기 주베게 돈달라 두시나 동위 셈바 검제 되네 동아야다 두시니 진배냠는 능고레스 진짜 진배냠는 능고레스 되네 진배기 냠는 되네 나위 직갑레이네하다 소소야 셈야 안지게 세나게야 파 송야다 안젠랴 두시는 나게게 송야다 되네 송위 토네 진배기 냠는 나와자 추림냠네 자루고 추림냠네 리고레스 and then jige nabi kabla dini jimbata chere serna ligruwa chere serna sungwa ne surimcha serna sungya da ane zabgar ngaje ligruwa ngaje sungya da dini sungya sungwe samba geche jimbata ya dini jimbata yue kabla yang jig penige jue da jig midun bala dini na yang jig khore ge ya pa jidu ane jimbata sweba komya denigi jimbata ya kabla ya deni pet kashin denigi simjan ya pemba tubya da simji dunga seya la deni jero pe ya gore sam kashin guji ngone samda na de la zunri nyamlen an jik de an namya sem jik kaya kanju maju masamba che ji du ra jik pembe sam shenle dunga seya de shenle pembe sam ji de nebe ji bi thone an da wa yin za an dingi ji and the an sherapki jebachin the rashinyu matubare says nazam lu logic and see na rale nazam mado the rang when you drop to can check I may some be share those china some thought to do and share in yamlen. Tis that the nation chinso pajin they are uno jashu simbu sin and then nangu baza chinso pajin to win yamlen and yamlen ju to gore. Tis that the name the jashu tis that jashu manamji luta manager combat here and chinyan de cabar the papa omale cabar the papa make him send this.
This eighth way in which the practice of the bodhisattva is unsurpassable, that it exceeds so that of hearers and solitary realizers, is that when meditating on the close placement of mindfulness, for example, on the observed object of the body, remembering that here the body would refer to the physical body and all forms such as material resources. Here then, the bodhisattva meditates on these in the way we've heard before, through their specific and general characteristics, in particular, that they are empty of inherent existence, reflecting that they are impermanent and suffering in nature. Therefore, they should be utilized well for the benefit of others. They have no essence. Being impermanent, they have no essence. Being in the nature of suffering, there's no reason to be attached to them or to grasp at them. Rather, they should be utilized to benefit others. Thinking like this, they then will engage in the practice of generosity in relation to their resources, using their resources to ease the suffering of others. And when practicing generosity through the practice of close placement of mindfulness, the perfection of generosity then is conjoined with the close placement of mindfulness in the body. Moreover, whilst they are practicing generosity, they will ensure their attitude is ethical. Their mind is restrained ethically. For example, ethical restraint guards against the arisal of the affliction of miserliness. Ethical restraint also guards against the other afflictions such as pride, whilst practicing generosity. So here we see, through meditating on the close placement of mindfulness on the body, then there is that is conjoined with the practice of generosity and ethical restraint. Moreover, whilst practicing generosity, the bodhisattva remains patient in that any difficulties that they experience, their mind will stay undisturbed in the face of that adversity whilst practicing generosity. Moreover, great joy will arise in their minds at being able to benefit others in this way, and in that their spiritual progress is leading to them help others ever more, and therefore they'll want to persevere in their training. Moreover, they'll single-pointedly make prayers to continue to utilize their body and their resources to ease the suffering of others. And all of this will be done with an understanding that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. No phenomenon, whether the being they are helping, what they are offering, their mind of generosity, or themselves, all are empty of inherent existence. So this is how we can see in this one illustration how all 6 perfections are conjoined with the practice of the close placement of mindfulness on the body by the bodhisattva.
안데네 냐나소 지수 튠바 지수 짐바데 튠바 세우로 냐나소 지수 짐바데 튠바 지수 짐바 세우로 지수 짐바라데다 년뇌다 랑자다 안 지수게 지수 짐바 세드 가지오르스네 전주 sem바는게 담마냐샤 코미아디 안에 가서 가르쳐 되었은 ben에 슝 답변에 년뇌 남기 슝나 송셰베 단위 슝나로 손잡면야샤고 손샤바다 태바 쳔비 슝나 손시베다 메자 차살이야 퇴섬 곰숨제 아니 퇴섬 곰숨제 제 안델이야 소소기 냠묘사 안데지네 지고래 제가 가르래 람나 제고에 가르선 ben에 다 상요 고방 토베 치르도 수수라랑 상요 고방 토베 지부 삼다샤벤데 고 태바 쳔비 슝 델이야 롭존체네 디고 때문에 태명 년되다 랑일선 유심을 좀 마시는 지경서 책으로 이나야 전주 sem바세데 현기된 주고고로 현내 패버 주고wen자 년되기 되니게 리젠직래야 최순고we나 지산 상기 유송셰비기 되니게 흉난마 롭존체 되니 냠녀도 코로나라 디로위 순고고자 디 순나 롭존체 제고고로와 지산 되니자 년되 랑제 리젠질로 송셰게 송야기 다 콘솔레 최시 패버 주야라 다 콘솔다 감나 매버 튠비 송고고 최신고 데 송야 될라 될야는 상지 송셰베 될라 퇴섬제다 되는 소속에 냠녀사고 그래 되니 인자 현이 된 주야게 된다라 년되디게 엔고 로마 년되 몽볼레 최송 되지야 안타비 람로고야 로마 랑제 리젠레마 최송 되서야 타비 람로고야 단 로마 태바침 비리라 아니 유인의 대수 최송 야상이살로 고야기 대수게 된다라 아니 신유 된다라 아니 되니게 로마티게 건조야 약부 취하게 된다라야 아니 가르쳐 버렸네 제가 년되다 라게다 되니 흉 차상이야 아니 롭존체 아니 소수게 퇴섬 곰숨제제 운도신 거래스 단 년아되게 년에다 주스마디게 코로나즈게 흉라마데 아니 가르선 코로나즈 미기 가르선에 소소랑 타바 토구도 소소랑 타바 톰지구도 세베삼로와 되니 인삼 소소랑 게 타바 토에 람텐셰바마데 현지수 중비치도 디잠기라 슈크체모지기 메서라다 전시세마디게 조와 현대 인자 현지수 중비치도 탑람 가르가르 유베 차상도 우스네 아니 흉 차상의 퇴섬 곰숨제제 안데술이야 최대야기 소수게 된투에 냠는 지고레스 디니자다 냐나 소스서 년되다 라자 안데니게 릭티기 차상 소소 제수 진비 치르도스는 콘솔레 판도제비 제 판도제게 된다라 안에 두스네 퇴섬 곰숨 지고레스 지자 잠만야샤 고미아디 두스kum고레스 디니자다 냐나 제시바디 캬바드 파바레스 김데 직디시고레
The 9th reason for why the Mahayana practice here is superior is they are compatible with compassionately caring for hearers, solitary realizers, and so forth. As we heard earlier, bodhisattvas, when training in the 4 close placements of mindfulness, they train in the sutras and the commentaries to the sutras of both the Tibetan tradition and the Mahayana tradition. And they do so intentionally because their motivation is to guide all beings to freedom from suffering and pain. And therefore, to be able to guide those who have a disposition towards the Tibetan paths, the bodhisattva will train in the Tibetan sutras and the commentaries to them, study them, gain experience of them, so that, based on their knowledge and experience, those practitioners who are on the paths of the heroes or solitary realizers, or are of that lineage and therefore aspire to those paths, the bodhisattva can still benefit them can still help those beings in their spiritual development and the easing of their suffering and the attainment of liberation. And bodhisattvas, of course, then also train in the Mahayana teachings so as to be able to help beings who have an aspiration to the path of the bodhisattvas, who are of that lineage, as well as to aid other bodhisattvas. Hearers and solitary realizers, on the other hand, because their goal is different, because their goal is their own individual liberation, they train solely in their own tradition, because that is their path to achieve their liberation. So here we can see again a great difference between the trainings in the four close placements of mindfulness of the bodhisattvas as opposed to the hearers and solitary realizers.
Lü gyuma dan tsowa milam na sim namka che tin dabo sheba sede da tongpa nye kumsu shigo se nga zo lü la mi shi lü di gyuma na shi re se lü di gyuma se de nga zo ya migli ya na de ngwe ro nang go de dakshin chi be chena rang ngo la ya ga ya me ji gan cha go ro je de be ne gyume da ro dang na we na nga zo dang ne ro nang go de da de na wa da shin dakshin chi be chena da de ngone yo ma de ji sa da de ye me ba de di na shin nga zo lü di nga zo na ro de gyuda jian cha ga lai ma rang ngwe ni zhu de de ma zhu ba nang guo de na wa na xin jie ba na de ne nie me gyuma na xi re s gyume bi to ne da lü ra xin ma zhu gong ba se go gong guo ba.
The 10th reason, you'll understand the body to be like an illusion, feelings to be like dreams, the mind to be like space, and phenomena to be like clouds. So this then refers to emptiness. The body is likened to an illusion because just like an illusion, the body too doesn't exist in the way that it appears. If you think of when we've seen an illusion, it seems real, it's convincing. But when we investigate, we quickly realize it doesn't exist in the way that it appears. Rather, it's dependent on causes, it's dependent on imputation. So therefore, one comes to realize that the body is like an illusion.
That's how I milam dabo si that's how I jamanya ja komyo de that rang si ji chen yu komyo si or da ji chen yu dong ba yu kom go wa chue de ji san de de da dong ba yu komyo ji ba de pe ru milam ja ba ji san cho wa de nga ji milam na la nga zu ge ji milam na la ya ji lang bo che da khang ba ro ka de thong be na ji milam na la thong de ka bla ngo nya ra ru ji thong go de nga zu yi ni se che da wa na dine gaya me rwa, ngone nawa na xin zao yin me re, chisa nilam yi nawa na xin kangpa lo so bada, dine nawa di, ngone rupi nangor di nilam yi nyaga so, ngone rupi nangor di, na nyi se du, jeba chi du, da yune me ba re, chisa nawa na ma re, dina xin da chowa siya di nga zo liya, lo le na yi du, tenpa rupa nangor di, na da xin jebe che na, tenpa rupa nawa na xin zao yin me ba re, chisa me ba za, chowa tenpa ma rupa, chowa yi dina, tongpa nyu kumba di le shi go re.
The second point, feelings to be like dreams, then this too relates to emptiness. So whatever appears in our dreams, in our sleep state, these seem very real. We are convinced by them, we engaging with them, various feelings arise within us in relation to these objects. But when we wake up, if we reflect on our dream, recall our dream and reflect, that house that I saw and the other things I saw in my dream, does it exist in the way that it appears? And immediately we know it doesn't. There's no such thing as a dream house. So similarly, all that appears does not exist in the way that it appears, just like a dream.
Na sem namka dabo se de andi sigura namka se de toba da reba tore ka ya me ke tore ke dong bi ke dong sang chi ro namka se toba da reba yo ma namka na zhuo na ga ya yo ma je toba da reba ka ya me ba tore ke dong ba sigura ba namka se di ka resin toba da reba ki 가야 매장 토렉이 똥바르와 토렉 매가야 토렉이 똥바 똥사시마도요 말어 톡 봐서는 디 말도 톡스와 렉 봐서도 디르와 근데 이제 렉와요 남갈도 신에 렉아요 가말 다직 딘조도 갑라 남갈 톡바 가셔요 말와 가서 근데 남들이 줘야라고 말와 지금 데네자 남가 코롱을 모라 톡바다 렉바가요 말스 지금 톡바다 렉비 토렉이 똥바레스 똥비 똥사지레스 디나신 아주 셈세딩 아주 나와라 템버투바 난거르데 나와 나신다 남칼로 토레 메바 똥바 나신 셈데랑 아주 템버투바 난거르 나와 나신 다신 제베체나 셈디니야요 말레스 메바자 셈라시 마투바세지 디콤바이자다 데네게 전시sem바남기 디 셈라시 마투 또아제 공부요 바자 다디 캬바드 파바세지 디수
The third point here, the mind to be like space. So here too, this refers to emptiness, that the way phenomena appear is not how they exist. So here, the mind is likened to space, and that space is without obstruction, without where there is no contact. So here, the Bodhisattva looks at how the mind appears, investigates, and comes to realize that the mind too does not exist in the way that it appears, and therefore it's empty of existing in the way that it appears. It's empty of existing inherently. So therefore, this is another reason why the meditation of the Bodhisattva is superior.
난 진들 셰바시든 진들 셰바시 진세딩 남칼을 진 가브리엘라 진 가보 여러바다 진디 가보두스디 규르신의 가브리엘 나고 차르고라 나고라 진 나고두스디 양 규르신의 가보 차용 안 진디게 가브리엘야 도도 전부두세 양파 토라신 파 잠주고라 진은 진디게 파 잠되셔서도 양수 주르신 도도 카지를 보는 거로 가브리엘야 진디게 가면 통역이니면 차르고라 그래서 남기 진세디야 그런라 라와메레세 라와메바 유어로도 그래서 룽기 파데 수데 잠잠가 룽슈체도 냠도 룽기 파주 투파토 가야 바차 진짜 진세디 라와메겐기 그런 가브리엘라 디요바 같이 템부 메티겐 아니 같이 갈로 되게다 가브리 메바차데 가브리 까보자 가브리 도도 진짜 진세디 템부 메티겐 라와메바 데니기 규조해지 규구도 와서 디나시 최세딩 하는 쪽이다 되지 단 셈다 넘버 셰바다 아니 초와 가야 많이 되니기 류 되기 많이 가다 셰바다 우리 뒤쳐간데 신나 차상 현실의 뜨거운 레마도 가라에 맞대봐 랑고 뭐니 줍되지 용고 말서 아주 나야 되는 거래 진짜 진세디 호가브리엘라 도도 체지 류에디 룽라电제 현실의 뒤지고 두두 차고라서 가브레 도도 여바도 파 잠조도 가다 현실의 뒤 룽기 파디에 현실의 뒤에 잠조 가브레라 균이 매바 차로 되네 현실이 매바지 디나시리스 최디게 현실의 뒤에 주어마도 강라에마도 코로나 랑경원이 줍디겐 유어 균이 줘야 메디겐 디요 말했어 가지고 나야라 코로나원이 줍까 유어 균이 줘야 다가랑 여버 능고도 와서 디나신 자위는 요 말에서 빼는 진조시리 진 코로나 기디나 유어 균이 마도가 카치라 되된 레미도 와서 가블레 가제글레 점점 침보자 점점 점점 매바자 점점 가고 점점 나고 다음에는 유루도 와서 진짜 유어줘야 디나신 아주 최대의 현실의 뛰는 유루고래 이마도 가야 되마되바 유어균에 매바데 자기는 요 말에서 진짜 매바자 디 매바자 텔라랑시 마도 봤다와 됐지 되니기 여바 있나 강라에 마도바 랑공원에 주바 나와다 다가라 여바네 디 라신 주바레스 되네지 민도와 매바자 안데 라시 마두바레스 누스치는 kum고레지로다.
And fourthly, phenomena to be like clouds. When we observe clouds, we see how readily they change. Sometimes they're white, then they darken, and then once they've darkened, slowly they'll become white again. Sometimes the clouds are dispersed, sometimes they gather together and become truly large. Sometimes the sky is pervaded by clouds and it's completely overcast. Other times, it's completely free of clouds. It's clear. And this all comes about without any intention from the side of the clouds. Something the clouds themselves have no freedom or control over. And this shows how clouds are unstable and they have no control. So similarly, phenomena such as our various mental factors, these appear to us as being independent and unchanging, as if they have some essence to them. But this is not the case. They, just like clouds, change due to a wide variety of causes and conditions, and they change in a way that shows they have no control or any choice, any freedom over whether they change or not. Therefore, they do not exist in the way that they appear. They are empty of inherent existence.
Dene samshindo kowa samshindo sibo kowa kolo gyuwa sok Gyälwa sidi da janju semba digi da korbi gi nele ya samshindo Gyälwa lingora Gyälwa limba dugora Gyälwa lingora sibine kolo gyu kabri kolo gyu be Gyälwa njiga te Gyälwa la so ba gang so ne da dene Gyälwa le da le da nyomo ngai Gyälwa limba yo mare da deso ya janju semba digi Gyälwa samshindo Gyälwa len saidi Jerusalem Papalamato, Solambada, Jolambala, Samshin Gyälwa to Yomade, that Garsene, Goroso, Luiti, Leda, Numu, Pumpore, Solambada, Jolambi Pumpot. Jerusalem Papa Chayadu, then the Luidi, Yigi Rashi, Luchagore. Jezada Nyomo Peggy Garsore, Rawan Topsawa Chagore, Nyomo Bale, Nyomo Be Rawan Topsawa Chagore. These are new mobile want to Sungoma, Shawan to Sungoma. She's not Dini Zada, Jensen Batiki Koa Sibala, Koalia, Samshin the Gyälwa lingura, Gang to the Gyälwa lingura, or Samshindo, Gyälwa Lengeneda, Delia, Shen Yudunga said the Digi Tubialia, and Samshin the Gyälwa lingura. Then there's Samshin the Gyälwa Lembatella, the Shebana Jide, Gabrielia, Chick Gyabota, Denigi, and Chick Pumbu Gyälwa, Gabrielia. Chike Mikumi Gyälwa Gabriela and Chike Gyoshu she number 20 Gyälwa Shea Gabriela and the Dundroda Denigi Gyälwa Gabriela and the Chike Ondusine Denigi Tone Gyälwa number Namen Dam Marachiduchi something to do Gyälwa call Gyälwa Lenji Shen Yudunga say that the Yutubialia to something to Gyälwa Lingor. Chizanyana that the Sugi something to Gyälwa to go mare. Nico do Korayo Marwa, Mevaza, and Diaz Janju Jamanya Comiadi, Samshin to Gyälwa, Kori Gyälwa Lenje, Shendun to be Chirdu Kumguores, the ends and the Kava Papares. Niento Galanda.
Then coming to the 11th point, you will, in accordance with your intentions, be reborn in cyclic existence as a wheel-turning king and so forth. Bodhisattvas, they intentionally take rebirth among samsaric beings in order to be of benefit to them. This isn't something, though, that all bodhisattvas can do. Ordinary bodhisattvas, those on the paths of the first two paths, the paths of accumulation and preparation, they still take rebirth with contaminated aggregates due to the power of contaminated karma and afflictions. However, when a bodhisattva gains a direct realization of emptiness and becomes an Arya being and enters the path of seeing, in that moment they attain a mental body, an uncontaminated body, in that moment. And with a mental body, bodhisattvas can take rebirth wherever they wish within samsara, wherever their intention is to be reborn, they will take rebirth. And this is because they now have a mental body that is freed from influence of the afflicted minds. Because now the bodhisattva is an Arya being, has gained a direct realization of emptiness. And they can take rebirth due to the power of their intention. Hence we see here, in accordance with your intentions. And therefore, wherever there can be of benefit and in a wide variety of forms, whether a human, an animal, a god, or a king, bodhisattvas will take rebirth. Hearers in solitude realizers, on the other hand, they do not have this ability.
Ranshingi Wombo Nove, Temen Yid Sota Majebas, Sox, the Chick Majebas in Yishidu, in that Yum the Session you do. Ranshingi Wombo Nova, Tebachimbo Sige, Jidan, Tebachimbe Kansa, the ye, Ranshingi Jidan, Wombo Numbo Child rest. Wombo Numbo Chava in Zang, Konzu Jambanese, Kumadi, and then Rang, Shen, that's Jensen by Inza. Session17 jam ni jo kom je semje thamji gi dun sang jo ko pa thobar ji gin sibe janju sim ju kun ne la ji kum gu yo ba za ani Session17 gi dun da la an chi lu kum go ma do rang an rang ni thaba thobji gi to rang ji jing sam ba yo ma des rang ji jing rang ni je je ba jin da rang ni ko wa le zhuo gu chen be sam ba sam bi thon ne kum go ma mo gom ba za ani Shen je ba jin ne Session17 탐지 코와라 데 코와를 줘와다 인디기 주비에치도 공부고요 반자 아니 네 태면 이제 쏟아 맞아봐 맞이 쏟아 맞아봐서 지금.
Let's look at the next two together. You will naturally have sharp faculties to meditating on the close placements of mindfulness. Your meditations will not be affected by mentally engaging and so forth in the Theravada. So this then refers to that the bodhisattva, through their reliance on extensive analysis, they will develop tremendous intelligence because of relying so on reasoning. Moreover, because of overcoming their self-cherishing mind and being guided by the other cherishing mind, they will not engage in the they will not give rise to a motivation in accordance with the Theravada objective of individual liberation.
Dendala garisungoro sinemini nyana namgi kombadi rangi tarba tobi samba tarba tobi rang dungi samba rang tarba togu du sembi kunye lanche ane di kunye lanche kumgo re jirwada. Jenju samba nanjo kombadi shen simjen tamje ane dunga drawada simjen tamje ane kowe dunga le droje tarba tobi ya tarba tamji kimbelamlo goibechido kumgo re jirwada. Da di inza jenju simbi komyadi da kyabat pabare sadi.
Here, this difference really comes about because bodhisattvas, they have as their objective to free all beings from pain and misery, all sentient beings. Whereas hearers and solitary realizers are primarily striving for their own individual liberation. So the strength of these motivations is vastly different. Hence, all these differing results for the bodhisattva, or the greater strength and capacity of the bodhisattva.
나디네 년하는 요 공부하디 탈바토비치도 공고를 해야 돼. 다 전주선 받는 요 공부하디 라면냐디 산교 공부 토비치도 공고를 해야 돼. 라면냐디 토바 냐디 주바다 덴비치를 해야 돼. 라면냐디기 냐디 주바 남나 덴비치를 해야 돼. 자 전주선 받는 게 전반이죠. 공부하디 산교 공부 토비치도 공고를 해서 디제 개발도 봐봐래 해야지.
Then the final difference is due to the attainment. You will achieve nirvana without remainder.
라면냐데 세대 년나 라좀바데기 디게 가서 라면냐데 코를 누가 탈라 라면냐데 주비스도 공부하래. 제가 전주선 바데기 근데 가르치고 왔으면 라면냐데 비치는 미니베냐데 비치도 공부를 해서 지켜봐디식으로.
And then this then we would understand as meaning Buddhahood in the case of the bodhisattva.
제가 전주선 바 년나디게 소수 동화를 타고 소수의 류를 미치 동화들을 타고도 들을 타지는 동의 부발 하마나 제바 빵비 빵바 토쿠도 선비게 섬 조디 장등의 삼바 계진디르와 전시선만은 예 현등의 삼바데 현심장 탐지게 된다 현심장 탐지 코의 동화를 좋아라 지다 초도 교바 산요고 바래 지자 산요고 바마도는 디기민도세베 산지 뇽모베 드바 바샤다 제바 빵비 빵바 미니베 냐디 디토베시도 공고래 디인자다 전주선바디 공바디 캬바드 파바래 세지.
Here in solitude realize they're striving for their own individual liberation. That and that alone is their goal. Bodhisattvas, though, are striving to develop their own capacity in order to be of ever greater benefit to others now and in the future, and thereby want to abandon the afflictions together with the seeds, but crucially also the imprints of the afflictions, the final obscurations, in order to become a Buddha for the sake of others.
고 동안에 타도게 삼바지 델레드 아니 미 톱자데 가라서 미니베 냐데 토야게 된다 아니 대양 네 랑둥기 토도 랑니 코발에 타지 미니베 냐 토야게 된다라 디삼다데 kum고 잠바니지 kum고가 디니 kum고레제 전주세만남지 잠바니지 kum야디 가라서는 군노 아니 군노 베네 군노 전주심지 군네라 셈제 탐제 된다 산조고바 토베시도 군노 전주심지 군네라 kum고레 다 군노 전주심지 군네라네 ane delya komyodu de range chingi ji chingi komyodu deya zo lu chowa sem chue de chasa tembar mami ba samta zo tembar mami ba den kumgores jina jezang kunlo janju sembe semba ane di te do ji chingi komyodu rangxin ma do dongba ni samta zo dongba ni samta komba jeza topja ane sanji ko ba tobe shi do komba inza di chene da janju sembe jamba ni je komyadi 초도 교바 사송하래 가서는 군로다 안에 디기된도 고미야기 지친이 동반이다 안 톱자 산요 고방 디 전에다 개발 도바 사송으로.
In summary then, the two primary differences between the hearers and solitary realizers on one hand and the bodhisattvas on the other is firstly the goal. The goal of hearers and solitary realizers is their own individual liberation, and therefore they engage in the four close placements of mindfulness, with that as their objective, to achieve their own individual liberation. Bodhisattvas, on the other hand, they have a far vaster goal. They are determined to benefit others, to guide others to a state freed of pain and misery, and in order to achieve that, they are striving for enlightenment. So this is the one key difference, the objective. To achieve enlightenment, the bodhisattva engages in the close placement of mindfulness, the practice of. And the second key difference is, in terms of the general characteristics, the bodhisattva primarily meditates on non-observable signs of phenomena. In other words, all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. So here the second key difference is that in order to eliminate the stains of the afflictions and thereby achieve Buddhahood, the bodhisattva meditates primarily on emptiness, cultivates a wisdom realizing emptiness. So these are the two key differences, motivation, and then in terms of their path, the cultivation of the wisdom realizing emptiness.
door duji song xie xia ba na di che gu lo jian xue sem ju gu ne lang wa di dian du gong bi ge dong ban ni gong ya an top jia sang ju go ma tu bi chi du gong ba ze che ba de fa ba re es nian na de ge ane gu lo rang ji jing ye san bi ge gong ba rang jie ba zin bi ge rang ji jin ane tar ba to ya chi du gu lo di chi du gong ba mi yu tar ba mi ni be nya ka sa la me mi ni be nya de zam je de ne di dindo komya dame ba de rangye type dame ba zang komba ma tongba ni kom zo ji ge ma res di chen de da ju sen ba ji ke ba pa ba re sen na ju gi da dor du ne she ba na di ne wa da di ni gi ke ba ju ji sun ya di do de gen na la sun sha ba na xin ji ne di ma ne ke ba an ju shi yo re se do de gen na la sun yo re ji zan do de gen na sun ba di ji xia jin ma ke ba ju shi yo ba di re se de sun go re 이나다 다데네 개발 주시 책이 베선 책이 말 최발 망고 용으로 때담 개발 망고 용초 딜레 망아 용초 이내 미 되게 나라 개발 주시 손바 제네기 주시 손야디 다쟁아 주시야 주시디마 디나데 장을 자샤디래.
So here our text presents these 14 differences, or these 14 reasons rather, why the path of the trainings of a bodhisattva are superior. In brief, it would be the bodhisattvas train with bodhicitta, and all their trainings are conjoined with bodhicitta. Secondly, they're cultivating the wisdom, realizing emptiness, that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. And they have so that's in terms of path, and then in terms of objective as goal, to achieve enlightenment for the sake of others. Whereas on the other hand, hearers and solitary realizers, they do not overcome their self-cherishing mind, but rather, guided by the self-cherishing mind, they're striving for individual liberation. So that's the difference in terms of objective, and in terms of path, they're primarily meditating on cultivating the selflessness, or realizing the selflessness of persons, realizing that the self lacks self-sufficient substantial existence. So that, in brief, is the difference between the two types of practitioners, those of the Theravada lineages and those of the Mahayana lineages. These 14 differences, or these 14 points pointing out that the close placements of mindfulness of the Mahayana are superior, are presented in Maitreya's ornament for Mahayana sutras. If one looks elsewhere or reflects for oneself, one will find many other differences between the trainings that are found within the Mahayana as opposed to those in the Theravada. But these 14 are presented in the ornament for Mahayana sutras.
Dode kengi tsik nala, dode ken les, le den jamba nyesha ba, gomba namba chushi yi, tsumba mbibi chinade, dele shenle kebar pa, she sumbi chirisine. Chizan dode ken nala karasine, le den se du janju senpa se ora, le den jamba nyesha, gomba se du janju senpa namgi jamba nyesha gomba di, ane kebar chushi kone, ane tsumba meba se du, nyendu da rangi gomdale, tsungpa yon jikpa mares, jikpa mares tsungpa sido jikpa mares la kebar papa res disi wala. Dene yenza dele kebar papa tsungpa mares, kebar jikpa mares, kebar papa res.
Here we have the first quotation, the top of page, I think 15, top of page 8. Since the meditation on the close placements of mindfulness by the wise is incomparable in these 14 ways, it is extraordinary in comparison to others. The wise here then refers to bodhisattvas, and this then refers to these 14 ways that the trainings of the bodhisattvas are superior to those of the hearers and solitary realizers.
And in my share, do that. 电当念波当是对电当念波大当你地心度你九八当密八当的一些当托包公把开把的拍你结束吞把结束九八当用数写当Gyälwa当千波当的创业当我们那样的准备先写送给七日写春把咱们是呢也把的先都写把的家伙是呢就是那地送来的对的跟那送来注意送来的春把咱们的的的来忙完辛苦呢 熊现在哪怕안에送药的时候现在写不着我现在熊现把的定好过了讲过了些的
The quotation continues. The 14 points are reliance, antidotes in accordance with, engagement, observation, mental engagement, attainment, the superiority of meditation, accords with followers, complete understanding, rebirth, greatness, supremacy, meditation, and perfect achievement. As these are merely illustrations, they should be understood from other, more extensive explanations.
디시는 주바세야 돼. 아니電子를 주베치도리 세야다. 미바세야되네.電子를 주베치. 있어. 어디바든 얘는 디시션디거다.電子디 대디징아서 퇴섬 검숨 진에 동방이 또 배셔를 띵거래. 세야디 디시는 디거래. 님보세야디電子 가서 로슈 주르게 님보지거래. 세시거와.
So these are similar to or the same as what we've looked at already. So reliance refers to relying on hearing, reflecting, and meditating in order to give rise to the wisdom realizing the emptiness of inherent existence. Antidote refers to the cultivation of that particular antidote, which serves as the antidote to the 16 wrong ways of engaging in the practice of the Four Noble Truths. And the third that we have here, in accordance with, refers to in accordance with the Four Noble Truths.
That dinege mi ba se di da nga zu ge ran shin ni ge lu le mi ba se che go de ji chen shi sen ba ne ko de ran shin ni ge lu le mi ba se ran shin ni ge cho wa le mi ba se de ji chi go re il le che ba se di ane che nam je di ko mi de ji cha sa ran shin yi ma du ba yi de ba ma du ba yi le chi go re ji de dem ba ma du ba sam da ji gong go re sa ji.
Engagement refers to the objects of engagement for the bodhisattva themselves, firstly reflecting on the objects of engagement in relation to themselves, and thereafter and primarily on others. And then engagement observation, then this refers to that primarily reflecting on the emptiness of inherent existence.
Toba se di jenshi senpa ni yokomba di sa chi ge sa chi lu da tane sa me toba mi ba de yi ji ra sa mi ba se di lu ji yi ji se de temba ma ba sam tang go re se di ne dirwa ane da toba se di kar se ne nyan de nam ji da sa chi lu da tane sa me gi lu tobe chi do kom go re jenshi senpa nam ji di ni ge chi do ma re se or da mini be nya de sang yu go ba tobe chi kom go ma da sa chi lu da da sa me gi lu ti tobe chi do ni ge chi do ma re se.
Mental engagement, primarily reflecting on the emptiness of inherent existence. And attainment, then the bodhisattvas are not striving to either attain or not attain an uncontaminated body.
Jesu Tumba said, Passion to Yamlen, Jesu Tumba said, Jesu Tumba Kungore said, and the also Sheba said that Lu Kumata, Soa Milan, Sem Namga, Chu Tin da Budus in the Dembamaruba, some Tana Kungo, Resha Situr. I also Sheba Sura. Yonsu Sheba said, Lu Kumata, Soa. Lu said the Dembamaruba, and the Dembamaru Lu and Soa, the Simja Dembamaruba, some Dan Sigurwa. Just a Disuchas and Dembamaruba, Tobicone, I Kungo Resirwa.
Then the next ones, the superiority of the meditation. No, that one's not in the Tibetan. It's the accords with followers was the next one. Let me see. So this then is the ninth point over here. They are compatible with compassionately caring for heroes, solitary realizers, and so forth. And then the one that comes afterwards, complete understanding, refers to let me just check here. You'll understand that all the body to be like an illusion, feelings to be like dreams, and so forth.
Chimbo said, Gyälwa said, Koalia, Jenshi Senpa, sending to be something to Gyälwa Limbashi, Gyälwa Lingores, teach the Kungo Regime.
And then birth refers to the 11th point. You will, in accordance with your intentions, be reborn in cyclic existence.
That in again, Chimbo said, Jenshi Senpa to get Ranshi, Wombo Numbers, Wombo Number, Teman to get Ranshi, Wombo Duares, Chisa Ranchis, somebody temporary, said Sigurwa.
Greatness then refers to the 12th point, that through the extensive analysis and investigation done by bodhisattvas, their reasoning, their intelligence is profound.
Nada Chögyi da sire di Madheba sigur Ranchi Sambada Madheba Shehin Koni Shidu Kungore Sigurwada Nyana Namji Kombadi Ranchi Zing Sambitone and Rangni Tabatu Shidu Kungore, Ranchi Sambada Devi to Kungore. Just that Janshu Sambadi Kombadi, Ranchi Sambada Madheva and Semjan Koni Shidu, Ne Kungore Saji. Chimbo Chögyi said, Cho said.
Supremacy then refers to that the bodhisattva is guided by the other cherishing mind due to having overcome the self-cherishing mind. However, the self-cherishing mind is still what guides heroes in solitary realizes.
나 간제래 어디니게 초니다 공다 야다 두베 신시다 야다바 두바디 주공미야디 라면야디 가서래 전시선반은 요공미야디 다 미니베냐데 상교고바 두비시 미니베냐데 주바 바차데 제바 빵바 미니베냐데 두비시도 공부를 해야다 다 냐나는 요공바디 라면야데 두비시도 공부를 해야지 디케바르티 곰세디 가르치는 공고를 했네 다 디코메디게 사상 라면야데 두비시도 공부를 했어
meditation, so this refers to this the unsurpassable meditations that bodhisattvas engage in, and perfect achievement refers to the attainment of non-abiding nirvana, of enlightenment by the bodhisattva.
안디니게 다 개발도 파고도 망보셔야 요래 있네 한다듯이 주시 되게는 송바 주시세도 천바점들이스 아니 망보 개발 신고나 슝šan다나 다냐네 하고 그랬을 언도스네 현대 셰바샤세 디수도
As these are merely illustrations, they should be understood from other more extensive explanations. So here we can see an ornament for the Mahayana Sutras, Maitreya is stating that we should take these 14 reasons for the superiority of the Mahayana approach as actually being an abbreviated presentation. There are many other reasons for the Mahayana approach to be superior.
나도 디바도 다 잠바냐샤시 코르치직 슈사바레 로로직다 도르디도르 로로치르와 어슈사바레 다데나 dondaala da ngadu di she di da lam nyam su ling ge nyan de da ra je jan yu samba khong ju ge nyam len je ta kan ka chi go re tan ba nya sha se di lam re ni ngo kan de re andi mi ba kan si mi go re ko mya le kan si kum go re ani che du chawa ka ri chi du kum go re se da o du sin da mi ba da kom da da ani che du kom ji go ba de kim sen cha sa du che ne ani ngo se di tan ba nya sha shi go di cha sa na ju di 다 시에 사바래 다 디시에바데 가르쳐서 올선데 내가 주게 ben에 sabdra다와로 시작으로 sabdral 마선으로 받아가지고 데니기 진짜 자주선 받아 년뒤에 남주다 라자주선 받고 두수수 냠는 지고래 뭐 데니시 미바데니시 미고로 고미알 데니스 공고래 근데 자주선 받아 년뒤에 고미에게 캐벌 가르쳐서는 전신 비 캐벌 고미야 캐벌도 파고 데니스 요래 해야지 온두스는 하나 저기디 다 자사지 제슈 사래
So that then brings us to an abbreviated, the conclusion of an abbreviated presentation on the four close placements of mindfulness. Yeah, we've seen how the four close placements of mindfulness exist in the continuum of those who've achieved a path. And so here we've come to understand what they meditate on, their observed objects. We understand how they engage in these meditations. The second outline, thirdly, why they engage in the meditations, the purpose of it, which was to engage in the practice of the Four Noble Truths. We then came to the fourth outline, the entity or the definition of close placement of mindfulness. We then repeated the divisions, the four divisions, the boundaries where the four close placements of mindfulness exist, being within the continuum of beings on a path. And then seventhly, the etymology, and now the final outline, we've just finished, looking at 14 reasons presenting why the approach of the Mahayana is superior to that of the Theravada. So this we should see, certainly those first 7 points are like a path, or a map, presenting how practitioners training in the close placements of mindfulness, how they train their minds. And then lastly, we came to that 8th point, showing the superiority of the one approach over the other.
ngāngzōla kāna samtāngu kōrēsene, tā ngāngzōki dīn samtāyade, dīnīgi janshū chēmbātā, nyanduyé tā, dī kōrāngzōki nyamlin chēbāti dīni chīgudu. Chīsān dīni chēbāti yā, anē sūsūrā kōyō dūngā tādā, kōyō dūngā lē tāra chē, anē dīngi dēhā tōbyāki chirdu, ondūs chīndi nyamshin nāng kōrē. Chīsān janshū chēmbāti kī nyamlin nāwādi, dīnū kēbātō pāpārē, chīsān rāngshīn tsāma, sēmchēn tam chē kōyō dūngā lē chōyā chē, yā sāngi sāla kōyō DJ the Gongore. Chesandini in the Bear Massive Gideon Chimbo, Jin Chimbo, Yaboshuri, some big Jesu Iranche, the Consulia, Jesu Iranche. The Nigi, and the San Jumlin Digita, the Nigi Champagne, Sonia D, and the same gentleman Dungal Jayada, Kuru Dungal Tata Droje, San Yokoba to be Chirdu, that the Nigi Yamlin Rimbati Tablam the Soa, Bema Sanje said, Gideon Chimbo Jita, Bemasi Yaboshu, Shiresha has been. I can use sympathy together, then you do that this Yamlin Javad, Consul Combat, Chisu Iranchiada, Yemen Kiada. That consul didn't Yamlin, Angazine, Tangine, Dennis Consul Nazi Yamlin Chitu, Jiggy, and some big Tangazuki, Dumba Simshukiadi, Dumba Kiadi, that is Manzukin, D. Chin Jibigeta, Govado Chagore.
How then should we relate to these teachings that we've heard here? First, recognize the great kindness of Buddha Shakyamuni for having taught this, and generate joy within yourself at Buddha having taught this, and you now having heard this. Moreover, rejoice in those great beings, those who have achieved a path in their continuum, because they are training in the Four Noble, in the Four Close Placements of Mindfulness now, training through the Four Close Placements of Mindfulness to engage in the Four Noble Truths. So thinking like this, again, generate joy. And then thirdly, through this, generate an aspiration to train just like our role models are.
Da koron zin nan ju kumba na shin ji nyam den chi yin sin be ge da samna de dun ba ke de da nga zu ne da nga zu tem ba ni je ke me ba yin da nga zu koron zin na kumba de kar kum ba sin lu la mi je da bo su su lu la mi ne lu de da ne ji mi da wa yin ba sam ta ya da an du nga we ra shin ba sam ta ya an na da shi rang wa ji ma ju ba sam ta di de do dong ba yin da me ba sam ta du skum du wa di na shin da nga zu ne sam ta de nga zu lu se de on ne kon zu kumba na ji sam ta ba yin nga zu lu de ki ji chi bi ku we ra shin chi de je sa ta ba tem bu me ba nga zu lu de ngo kan de se ne sha cha an ne ben du chen mang bo chuan ne zhu ti gen do chi de je sa de yang ki ji ku wa zhe ne ta ba tem bu me de yu dan de ni yu dan ki mang bo la de xie an du xin zhu ti gen chi ba re sam ji mi da ba sam ta de ne ko me je sa da mi da ba sam ta de sa de su bu de ya hu yue ba tang na yue bi ge ble yang zu ge ju nyam len jin ba du ba na ko mi da wa yin zang ge di na ta ba tem bu me ba cha song ba na mo de ko ba ge ma re sam ji nga zu mi da ba sam ta je de ne ya nga zu ge di kecho ane gang tu cheyagi samlo chik chagorwa an di na shin da nga zu lu de le ne nga zu kar ha go mar sene cheza lu di nga zu ge de le dunga da gyu dunga chaba du ji dunga sang zu dunga da ha go ma to gyu dunga de dunga yin ba ha go mar chaba du ji dunga yin ba ha go mar de ne sa da jang yu sen ba da yan yu khong zu du chin che ba chen yam len chi da na shin chi che ba ina da nga zu lu de ne le da nyom mo ong ge chung wa lu de la de ne dunga gyaba gyu dunga gyaba chesan dunga ge ne mang ba na dunga ge phung bo le ge le che nyewa le bu phung bo se de ta chawa du ji dunga ngone re do san be ge de ne ge dunga yi ra shi sam ta je ko me de da de cha go ro chesan de ne ko ba ina gar yung go se ne de le thar du ge sam ba de ta de le thar du ge sam ba ji du go chesan de kun ju dunga de ba 지난 디 규례다 녀모발에 되는 용구가 삼다에도 군주대 발 삼다고 안주에 디 삼다고 이렇게 침부 자고 다 진에 삼다 안주 류디 네 나자 마보 용한 규어 라신 지도 쓰는 지금 강아이 사시샤 대양은 규 레다 녀모발에 되는 중화라시 제자다 안주게 되는 동화들 타고도 다 라신 지바라나 신 차상 지바라샤 제자 라신 참바 동화들 타고도 디타야기 규디 동화야 규디 레다 녀모발 들리도 제자 녀모바세다 방고도 와스베 다 녀모 방베 방바데 토고도 선베게다 디마토는 탑민도 선베게다 타바든이 사바 디 게딩 아주 자야디 디레다 디 게 자야디 아주 게 좀 보자고와
Then to be more specific about how I encourage you to reflect on the four close placements of mindfulness. So if we start looking at the first observed object, that of the body, so we recognize first that its specific characteristic, that it's a composite of the elements. So therefore it's this flesh and all the other substances that comprise this. And then recognizing its entity, we then reflect on its general characteristics. Firstly, that it is impermanent. It changes momentarily. And this is important because we grasp at it as if it were not, as if it were permanent. We need to come to see that it's not stable, it's not reliable, it will not last. And this is a key point for us to realize, because through realizing this, we'll understand that there's opportunity that we have to accumulate virtue and to create causes to ensure that our future lives go well and that we continue to spiritually progress. This is finite. It will come to an end, and therefore we must make the most of this opportunity before it's lost. Secondly, we reflect on then the second general characteristic. This body is in the nature of suffering because it came about in dependence on the ripening of contaminated karma. And that karma is contaminated because it's accumulated by afflictions. And therefore, this appropriated body is a basis upon which we will suffer. It's an illustration of all pervasive suffering, and upon this basis, we continually suffer. Not just in coarse suffering, such as that of suffering of physical, mental pain, but also subtler aspects of that, as well as the suffering of transient happiness. This is a second key point for us to reflect on. This is to give rise to an understanding of the origin of suffering. Moreover, we reflect that not all beings have a body. Not the body of all beings is not necessarily in the nature of suffering. Arya Bodhisattvas, for example, their aggregates are not contaminated. So therefore cessation is possible. Nevertheless, our body is in the nature of suffering. When you're hearing this teaching, I don't know what the situation will be then, but certainly, if you're allowed out of your home, there's always that danger of contracting, for example, the coronavirus, as well as other illnesses. As long as we have such a body, we're always in danger. We need to reflect on these first two general characteristics in order to give rise to a wish for liberation.
simja tamjigi duandala sanyo ko thobor sho sembige samda je anjugi andi thone da anju geshe juya tanga je le zo geshe juya zo samda de kunlo chanju semju kunye la je sanyo ko thobor sho samda je je di thone anjugi da samno nalia jaya di ne go zo di tsujum soya lunga yisni je de tsujum soya ne jimbe nyamna je suebe nyamna samda ya da lolya nga samlia jangdor je di ane zwenjugi jangdor je da ane samde ndusche 제디 책고로 되네자 되네 토네가 강토도 제디다 주디 내 친연제비기다 고바도시 뒤책고로 와가지고 친연제비 고바도시다.
And then as that arises within you, abide with it with concentration. Thereafter move your attention to that of others, recognizing that ordinary sentient beings like yourself find themselves in the same situation as you. And use this then to generate compassion for others, generate a determination to strive in one's spiritual development in order to be of ever greater benefit to others, to have a positive impact on the lives of others. And then use this motivation to reflect on ethics, generosity, patience, joyous perseverance, all so as to speed our spiritual progression, so as we can be of ever greater benefit to others. This is the purpose of meditation for us.
Alright, 당한주기 단 딜로디기 마주기 롭센도 타마라베 차디요레 디네 자당한주기 로딜리아 지단 나세티 긴지랑도 좀제 친연지야 말을 고갑지 마중와레 이내다 아주기 다직 로릭티야 고조셰디야 바 조신의 잠샤와르 직트야 직마중와레 다 이메네다 아주기 딜리아 안지게 너는 아주기 Chögyi ton에 당아 퇴삼 냠는 롭상 제디 투셔다야 말한 가지고다 무티네 제투야데 배하고 중얼디 명one 야 우리 대장을 저기 개와 제침보 사요를 제상 아주 개와 될라디 다 아주 타미기다 개와 당보 군롱제 바도 개와 사야제 다 타마들이 양아주 개와 오아자의 최고래 디네자 아주 로 당보의 고소리 군로디 디제 다디 바도 롭장제 아주 저섬제 디다 바도 개와 사와 최고래 다디네 다디는 로직에 타마장 아주 야 개와 오아자의 최고래 제상 아주 개와 사샤바데 개와디기 제상 돈베기 저 돈바 때네 나 저게 상기 템바 유니드 네바 아니 지게 야오름 제다 서버름 제라 소바다 되니기 텐쟁이 기부 간다 차상 구시 템바 쇼세지 몰음 자레 다딩아 저게 되니기 왜 자와 텔레 때네 안 점레나리아 안 지기 네나자 지 차상 여바 되니 차자 네엠디기 파서 귤 요거 시와다 안 셈제 네바 몽보지 류인 나자데 셈유 동아듬지 시네 차상 류심 대와 네바 아니 셈제 탐지귤라 아니 지금 파주 추보다 마게 되지 시제 차상 시디를 용어 시대 셈제 탐지 다 점리 시디 용어 쇼 선이 몰람제 최고로
This now is our very last class for the year. We come now to reflect on the number of classes we've had the good fortune to receive in this year. And with lockdown, hopefully you've had time to not only hear these classes and reflect on them whilst hearing them, but also to develop your meditation practice. So this is truly a remarkable and fabulous opportunity. Whilst we haven't been able to finish our Lodic classes this year, our classes on awareness and knowers, then these all going well, we'll be able to continue and conclude with these next year. But now, we come to dedicate the virtue we've accumulated over the year. Every activity we engage in, whether it's a physical, verbal, or mental activity, we should start with motivation, engage in the activity, and then dedicate. Now we come to dedicate this virtue we've accumulated over the year. So when dedicating at home, I request that you generate the following additional intentions or aspirations. Firstly, that the precious Buddha Dharma remains stably in the world, continuing to benefit beings, continuing to be cultivated successfully in the continuum of beings, and thereby being of benefit across the worlds. Secondly, that His Holiness and Lama Zopa and all other teachers, that they remain stably in the world, and that all their wishes and aspirations are fulfilled. And thirdly, all the suffering in the world, whether from the pandemic or others, that this dissipates, that all beings abide in physical comfort and mental peace. In brief, this third point is we dedicate for world peace. And fourthly, dedicate that the opportunity that we did lose out on this year, and that was to receive extensive teachings from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, dedicate that opportunity comes quickly again. All the required conditions that are required for him and students to gather here, that those conditions are gathered together quickly.
Dami zawigi da ngone jik nga stos kongwa samdawa nami jik lama ishigi tuje kitin an me sobar me chigi tuje kitin re pe ma se tene ke kitin chemore andi ma se da nga zu choso ge na ne me one director an jike jidan rapta rimba nyama ne director mo chungwe tizuin ne chasami da choso ge dandalia chale na je pando ya wo chungwe ani di and dimase juge tade negablia and director ningbare savare and dinade SPC re and dinalia tangla 되 당랑기 셉슈 레가 차상기 동안 억제가 저기야 안데니게 강아지 유디 갑려야 아니 저기 취친인지야디 안 투셔마다와제 차상기 약보제장 저기 고급라디 난 그런 저기 깨진 차고래 제산디네 인상 아니 제수 일하지야다 아니 저기 최소교 돈에 자월래가다 최소다래 최딩기래 아니 공비 돈에 아니 공비 돈에 나제 마음이 차례 간데슬야 간데스유베네 차상미유디게 약고요야 아니 저기 레제바 너 니를 턴스바 제라달라서 받아 디니게 레제바 니를 턴 차와다 다다 레진바 레가바 디닝아 주디네 레가 집주시디 이간 차상이야 아니 지게 아니 삼로디 가소래 디기 요야지다 아니 자발람로 야보 요위기다 나 차상이 몰람자래.
And fifthly, we turn our attention to all those who have directly brought together, who have directly enabled our opportunities to have these teachings. We think of the founding lamas, Lama Geshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who through their incomparable kindness and wisdom, we have the opportunity to gather, even though it is virtual, through their kindness and wisdom we can gather. But their mere aspiration and great presence also required additional causes for us to be able to receive these teachings. We've needed the many staff and volunteers at Atisha Center, both past and present, whether the director, the SBC, the staff and many volunteers, past and present, all who persevere through many difficulties, many hardships, and we can thereby receive so much benefit. So here we dedicate that all their individual aspirations be achieved quickly in accordance with the Dharma, as well as all the projects and aspirations of the Atisha Center, of the nunnery, of the monastery and the stupa. May all of these be achieved quickly. So thank you very much, and I look forward to hopefully meeting again in person in just a couple of months in the new year. Thank you so much.